the Instagram beginner and you will have got used to taking photos and applying filters and posting. So you should by now have quite a lot of photos done. So the next steps really are, okay, great, got some photos. How do we actually use that to build a following? So particularly obviously for social media managers, how do we build a following for a business? So how do you actually use Instagram as a business? So before you actually get started with any, you might get really tempted to just jump right in and start following and liking, but actually it's probably better to just do a bit of research first before you've actually done that. So firstly, think about who your customers are. Who are they? What do they want? What's your business trying to achieve? A yoga studio and a gym might post different things to a cafe and a restaurant or shop, and they might follow different kinds of people. So that's kind of the first thing. Just get a sense of exactly what you're trying to do. What kind of business is it, and therefore what's the best approach. So just have a think about that is the first thing to do when you're matched with the business. And obviously you can find out what those business objectives are from the business itself, and then it's your role to just kind of think about how you actually then take that onto social media platforms, and your mentor's obviously available to kind of help with any of that. So first thing to say about Instagram is it really is so much more than Twitter and Facebook about hashtagging. It's really not uncommon to see a photo and then a whole stream of different hashtags, whereas that would be really off-putting in Facebook and Twitter. It's not in Instagram because a lot of the time you don't even engage with the actual the caption. You just scroll and you just look at the photos. So it's not in any way off-putting, and people are just really used to seeing a huge long list, and you'd end up just picking up more people the more hashtags you have. So it's probably best to spend an hour or a couple of hours, depending on how hard you're finding it, searching for relevant hashtags, and then generate a list of tags, perhaps in like a Word document or Excel document or Google Doc, and use those then consistently. So it might be some around your geographical area, the kind of business it is. So what did we say before? So if it's a yoga centre, obviously hashtag yoga would be one, but there'd be like a number of others. People that are quite into yoga might be quite spiritual, so you might find some hashtags around that. People might hashtag, their favourite yoga poses. So maybe find some other yoga centres or yogis and just kind of see what kind of hashtags they're using. So just think of some yourself, and then when you find similar kinds of organisations, just learn from the things that they're doing. Yeah, it's good to spend just a couple of hours just really researching and looking and understanding. And then, so as we said, don't be afraid to use multiple hashtags. Just use as many that you think apply. So yes, I said with the kind of checking out the other yogis, like definitely check in on the competition. So, and that can be actually, you might be inspired by some yogis that are in San Francisco, but you're probably not competing with them if you're based, in Hackney or somewhere in the UK. So they might provide you with some inspiration, but actually think about the yoga centres that are actually directly in competition with you and find out whether or not they're on Instagram, and if they are on Instagram, how are they using it? Learn from their good ideas, but also analyse and just have a think about things that they might not be doing quite so well that you might want to avoid. So just go through and spend some time looking at the competition, and you can also perhaps suss out how their customers are interacting with them, and also their customers potentially might be your customers. You could poach them. That's not very in the spirit of yoga, but that's what the business is potentially asking you to do. So once you've done all your research and you're kind of really confident about your hashtags and you've got a real sense of how it's all working, the next thing you would do is to generate content. So you might already have a kind of bank of photos, but you might need to go and take lots of new photos when you're matched with a business. So basically, take photos of everything that is offered kind of product-wise. So, if it's the yoga, the actual teachers and the poses and them doing the yoga, and then it might be that the yoga sells blocks and mats and, yoga paraphernalia. So just take photos of all of that. If it's a cafe or restaurant, take photos of everything on the menu. So take everything product-wise, and then take photos yeah, generally like in and around your business and like the local area, and also like of your staff and the team that work there. People, just bring the people element, bring the human element in. Um, People actually, not just the staff, but people actually at work. So as I said, yogis like doing some yoga positions, or perhaps chefs cooking. So just kind of try and bring the brand to life, and then don't forget to hashtag them. Another brilliant thing to do is to actually encourage your customers to generate content for you. So encourage your customers to basically take photos of them with your products in your space, in your business, and let them know which hashtags that they should use. And you can run competitions. You can offer discounts, 2 for 1. Whatever applies for that particular business. It could be a 10% off or 20% off. Just whatever, but that's a really good incentive for someone to post and hashtag their photo. So that's kind of interesting. And then once you've hopefully kind of got loads of photos going, just really start to connect with people once your profile seems quite rich. So first of all, hit up your kind of current community. People that move on to Instagram are probably already on Facebook. In fact, they're 99% like to be on Facebook, and they're quite like to already be on Twitter, particularly if there's a business, there's probably already a Facebook page and a Twitter page. So just go through the followers there and then go and check on Instagram whether they're on Instagram, and then follow them on Instagram. So kind of just think about the community that exists already. Also hit up your current community by posting the links to your Facebook and Twitter social media platforms. So share the photos that you're taking on Instagram so that they basically are then taken onto Facebook and Twitter. You can connect your Instagram to Facebook directly, and then you can actually just tweet links to the photos with a really nice description. And then when you're sort of in your home feed and interacting with Twitter and Facebook as you like normally are, keep an eye out for tweets and posts that link to Instagram. So obviously that shows that other people are using it, and then just go, like the photo, and follow that person. And then in terms of like reaching out to new followers, basically you can use those hashtag searches to follow people. So if it's a local area tag, then basically you search for the local area tag, and then most people will live in that area. Some people might be tourists. Most people will live in that area, so you know that they're potential customers. Like photos from brands that are kind of relevant to the business that you're working for. If you're a yoga brand, it might be people that offer massage or holistic health treatments or organic shops. And engage with locals and local influencers and other local businesses and their followers. So media and influential bloggers and people really influential on Twitter. If people are really, really active on Twitter, it's possible that they also have an Instagram account. People that are really into social media quite often are into more than one of the platforms. And don't forget to, I think this is a really common mistake across all the social media platforms, always be linking the online stuff with the offline stuff. So just really kind of connect that in-person presence with the social media platform. So if you're using Instagram and you've got a hashtag and you've got a username, display that in and around your establishment. And if you're running a competition, make sure you're telling everyone about it in person. If it's a cafe or a restaurant, you could have stuff on the menus, you can have stuff on the notice boards. If it's like a shop, you could get little stickers made up maybe for when you're kind of wrapping stuff up. So just be really taking that online stuff offline to just try and raise awareness. So I kind of talked through some examples of the yoga business, but I'll talk through just a few different examples. Not sure which business you'll be matched with, but it's what I personally find thinking about the generic side of things quite hard to get my head around. So if someone tells me how to use social media, but I can't really latch onto a particular practical kind of context, it's often a challenge for me to then think about what I would do. So just you've got a few examples of different kinds of businesses and how that translates to those. So as I mentioned, if you've got a yoga business, then engage with locals to that area, holistic health businesses elsewhere, people that are often into yoga, perhaps into acupuncture, detox smoothies, organic beauty ranges, that kind of thing, organic shops, cafes, restaurants. Just think about the yogi customers, and you can also ask them. So when you're actually matched with a business and I'd love to be matched with a yoga business, you could get free yoga. So say you're like in and around the yoga space, just get to know your customers in person and just kind of have a bit of a chat to them, like pop in and just ask them. People are generally quite friendly. And there's some things that in terms of the content, you might share yoga pose of the month or even yoga pose of the week, depending on how many customers you've got and how engaged they are. And you could show one of your yoga instructors doing that pose and talking through how that might look. And then you might encourage people that actually come to the yoga to photograph themselves doing that yoga position. It could be quite comedy. And then get them to kind of hashtag in it, and they might win, I don't know, like a free yoga session or 20% off, whatever is kind of within your budget. But that's like a really nice thing to do, and I think that would create a bit of buzz. So if you're matched with a cafe or a restaurant, again, engage with people in the local area, engage with other cafes and restaurants, particularly ones that are sort of similar to the kinds of things that you do. Maybe not the Pizza Express, but maybe the little cute artisan pizza place, if that's the sort of cafe that you are. Because if you're matched with a business, they're probably reasonably small. So find other, cute little local cafes and restaurants and interact with those. Engage with food bloggers and food journalists, and there are absolute ton of those online. And also there are just some real foodies in general. I mean, they're not technically kind of making money from it, but people are just really into food. And then maybe engage with food markets and food producers. And then some things that you would share, obviously you would share photos of everything on your menu, and you'd be amazed by how much cafes kind of don't do that. Actually, don't capitalize on Instagram and the power of Instagram to capture people, because people are obsessed with taking photos about food, and people just love it. But also you could think about taking photos of the cooking process itself. So perhaps someone actually cooking something that's on the menu might be really nice. Maybe some kind of photos in that journey, and also staff might be really nice. Your head of staff, your waiters, your chefs. I think people quite like to sort of see the people in the kitchen. Quite nice. And then give them a bit of personality. And then get customers to post photos of themselves eating the food. So running competitions again is another way of doing that. Offering 2 for 1. 2 for 1 burgers or whatever it might be. Free coffee, free cake. Again, whatever's kind of in the budget. But that sort of stuff it's gold, really, that customer content. And then, so another example, I was thinking, you might be paired with a small shop. So let's take, in this case, a shop that sells kind of baby clothes, children's clothes. Again, engage with people in your local area, but also all the local shops. Most of them probably not going to be in direct competition with you anyway, because they won't. It's unlikely to be kind of lots of shops selling baby stuff in a really small space. Just get involved with all the shops nearby, and just get really friendly with those online and see who's online already. And then mum bloggers. There are a lot of mums that spend a lot of time on social media, so people that are really influential that are mums on Twitter and Facebook. There's absolutely loads of them. But also local NCT class groups, Mumsnet, local Mumsnet groups, Women's Institute groups. Also, have a look. There might be primary schools and stuff on there. So just any kinds of brands that mums would already be interacting with. And then what you would share would be photos of all your products, and you could make such cute photos of baby products. It would be amazing. And then you could run competitions for customers to take photos of their little ones that are actually wearing the stuff or playing with the toys, which would just be so cute. And mums just generally really like taking photos of their kids, so that's a bit of a win-win. So that's the kind of thing that you might do if it was a shop. So I hope those 3 examples have kind of shown you how you would apply some of the things I've talked about in actual contexts, like, in real life situations. And it might be that in the community, someone's got a similar kind of business to you, so you can, go in there and ask some questions, and obviously you can check in with your mentor. Now, in the training, obviously, you won't actually be matched with a business yet. But what we'd like you to do for homework, so you should by now, because you've done homework for the beginner session, is have played around and taken photos. So I think you just need to try and kind of work to build your own following at the moment. And one of the things that you can most definitely do is think about your local area and think about mums. I know a lot of the time, the research that we've done, and people actually tell us this, that some mums, a lot of mums actually can feel kind of quite isolated, and they don't make many friends depending on how old their child is. Sometimes, particularly for single mums, or if the husband partner's kind of out at work all day, mums can feel a bit lonely. So you can use this Instagram to kind of connect to people in your local area, so using those hashtags. And then mums, so as I talked about with the baby shop, the kinds of brands, so if you just go through and think, who are other mums going to be following, and then actually just try and connect with other moms using Instagram. So work over the next week to kind of build a little bit of a following of people that are kind of like you in your local area. Follow all the steps here, and then use photos that you've kind of generated. And in terms of the photos that you generate, it's up to you how much you want to share. But it'd be really lovely to just have photos of you hanging out with your family in the park, the playground, the local area. Anything you think is just cute. Just basically express your personality through it, and just see if you can kind of build a bit of a following. And we're not expecting you to have hundreds of followers, but it's just quite satisfying to just try it out and see, like other people's photos, and start kind of following people, start to reach out to people using what you've actually learned. And the next tutorial is the Instagram Advanced, and that is mainly all about really kind of nailing your photographs. So it's kind of next stage on photo composition, how to actually take them, and just being a little bit more artistic rather than the social media marketing strategy side of things. So it might be that you're quite happy with how it's all going at the moment, but it might be that you want to stretch yourself a little bit, learn a bit more artistically. So check out the next tutorial for that. And again, as I've mentioned, just if you've got any questions, just pop those into the community.